Hello, this is Pig Z doing another video. Now this is about fasting, so I wanted to do longer fasts, but I wasn't too sure. And I guess really there was something maybe possibly holding me back. I did a 3-day fast before, but that was a bit of a dry fast, which was a mistake because it ended up making my kidneys work twice as hard. It probably could cause some kidney issues as well. But I mean last week I did a 4-day water fast. I mean at the moment, so my pattern is I'm because I've got a certain client that I'm quite busy with, I tend to do a refeed on that particular client, and then I've got like 2 days of it. Most of the other work's pretty standard and straightforward. It's only because if I got tired and I wouldn't be able to think straight, that's what I was worried about. But I think a 5-day water fast is quite easily achievable. And what I'm doing is like a bit of a keto thing, so I'm just having a bit of a fry up or eating a lot of meat basically, or protein. And I'm doing them sort of on 2 days of the week. And then generally in the week I'm just water, and if I do need any additional minerals or vitamins, so if I feel like a bit headachy or a bit weak or something like that, then I'm taking a vitamin pill. And also I've got one for magnesium and potassium, to take a bit of that, and it's like a tonic, potassium tonic I've got, and then possibly a bit of sodium, but I haven't really had the need to have too much sodium. And I feel fine, I feel fantastic. I thought, well, great. And I'm starting to lose some weight, which is brilliant. And I'm losing about 1 kilogram a day, to be honest. I was looking at I looked at scales before and after. I thought, oh Christ, that's a bit of there's a shift. Yeah, so anyway in that kind of range of 1 kilogram. So that's all positives, and I'm just going to kind of go with it and see how far it takes me. So I mean, this week I wanted to stretch it out to Monday. We'll see how I feel. So I ate Tuesday morning, I had a little fry up. Well, I didn't have a fry up, I had a grill up. I used a Foreman grill, and that was about 10 o'clock in the morning. And now we're Thursday, 11 o'clock, so I've done a fair few days. This is all good. I mean, that's really what I aim for. Get my weight down, get my health under control. I've come off some blood pressure tablets I was taking, I got fed up with that. And also I don't want to be paying out loads of money. And the other thing with the incentive is actually save a lot of money. Because you must spend. I mean, average people spend probably about £10, maybe more, a day on food, depending on what their diet is. But I know ready meals are about £4 if they're on them, or if they're cooking up from fresh. They can easily spend more than you can spend £20 in a supermarket, maybe a lot more than that. So I'm saving money and I'm losing weight, and I'm also tackling health problems, and also activating some ancient gene expressions and other things in the body. The body's got systems that have been offline that don't often get used. So a bit like my brain's getting different drugs to keep it functional that normally you don't have to rely on so much. I think something's a nephedorphin or something. I was just watching some videos, so I heard something like that. And then you've got your ketones. And once they're activated, you can feel like a heat or like a warm around the fats. And I also massage fatty tissue as well. So they're basically just trying to increase circulation to certain areas as well. And yeah, it's been okay. So yeah, see how far it goes. See what I learned from it. So basically, drinking water, vitamins if required, and staying off the food, and also getting back into it. So that's why with the protein is not to trigger a massive insulin response, so I can get back into it. But the fat will continue to burn, so the chemical reaction for because your body slows down on the keto production, but it still be breaking it down, the fats. So yeah, so that's pretty good. Anything else? Well, I had somebody who claimed to be really rich who was in China, who's writing to me. This is like dating or whatever online. It's the MGTOW trying to make sensible, stronger choices when it comes to what you want in life, because I've got the financial stuff is okay. I'm sort of dabbling with the crypto, looking at flipping NFTs and stuff, and just getting to the science of smart money. Basically, that's what I call it. It's internet money, smart money, digital money, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be a part of society anyway, just because we're using phones nowadays. We're using chip and pin. I mean, basically, cash is an NFT really. Because it's got a serial code on it, and it's one of so many dollars or pounds. They can just reproduce them, so it's not necessarily a limited edition, but it's by day. I mean, so yeah, it does fall into that. Crumbs. These trucks and everything around me. There we go. So yeah, that kind of science of money is developing, and that's probably the science of finance, which probably at some point will be taught about school, and it'll be taught in a kind of way like how did money come around, exchanging goods, values, services. It's kind of stuff that should be connected to business studies. It probably is to some degree. It's just such a long time since I've done that. So like business science, things of value. And also might encourage people to recycle and stuff. People just throw things away if they've actually got certain value. Up doing goods and recycling and other stuff, because the system doesn't really care. As long as you're a consumer, that's fine. We just convince you what you should have. But now I think people are starting to get more selective, and the technology's sort of cross-platform, interoperative, all sorts of things that it wasn't before. So that's pretty good. So yeah, so that's one area. But go back to this like I went on this international dating site, and I was like 500 messages. I basically I set up an account, I left it, come back, and I thought, well, that's pretty busy. I was in contact with someone, but she's just mad and trying to get me to go into some exchange thing. So I've determined that she's probably a scammer, even though everything was great and she was sort of messaging me quite a bit. But I do have more than one. So if anything is going on a site like that, I have a lot of African women that are quite interested in me, which I don't mind. It's just a case of so when it comes to different races, you might be looking for something that appeals to you. So, and I realise it's not really the colour of someone's skin. Is that maybe it's a body type and maybe some other features that I find particularly attractive, like maybe the way their eyes are, maybe how they smile, certain proportions. I think definitely the frame, but most races have a scale of different sizes of their body types, so it's not necessarily like, oh, you can limit yourself particularly. And the other option is that if you're in a more sort of financial better situation, and maybe they review, they might even view their looks differently. So you look at her and think, well, actually in the West she's very attractive because she might be slender, or she might be a certain way of body, maybe she's got long legs or whatever we desire here. But then, like in a local culture, that might be not such an attractive feature. It's like, I think they always just say like Hawaii, it's like the bigger women, so if you're too slender, they'd consider you less attractive. Which you think, well, that's crazy, but not really. It just comes down to taste and stuff, really. And so I guess in all societies there's a leftover culture. Maybe like China, if you're above like 25, you're less desirable. But for a Western age, I mean, if you're 30, you're fine. If you're 40 something with kids, then it's kind of you're dropping down the scale. Not unless the person wants something with kids. But I don't think many men would do, not unless they have some inadequacies in themselves, or they don't want, or they can't father children themselves. Maybe that could be the reason. Otherwise, they kind of feel like they're looking after somebody else's children, and it's difficult to put yourself into that I'm the father. But so I've started looking at the app. I mean, there's somebody who seemed to be quite well off, and so now I'm just looking at it, and I'll come back into it, and I will write to people that are probably more financially stable. That's probably what I'm looking for in a woman, that she's got a good finance structure in place, because then it doesn't limit your dreams, and I don't really care I don't want to control her money or anything weird like that. It just means I don't have to worry so much. Because if people become reliant on you in codependency financially, it can be a bit more difficult, especially, you know, if they don't want to work and stuff like that. Depends what their setup is. So I've seen a nice profile I'm going to write to later, and also looking at some other places like China. I mean, like anywhere they've got leftover women and this kind of idea or concept, they might be the ones to target. I mean, I did chat to somebody in the Philippines, but she spends most of the time washing up at neighbours' clothes, and I'm thinking, well, financially she's totally unstable. I mean, she's probably very low maintenance, and she's probably a very loyal partner because she's living a life as a kind of a servant, basically. Depends what kind of energy. Well, it comes back to like control, and it can corrupt some people if you've got complete control over somebody. You have to be a better version of yourself, because it'd be very easy to take advantage of them. Might say, oh, well, can you wash my clothes? And they might be quite happy to do that, but the thing is, they don't have to live in a lifestyle where they have to be that servant. But then you can give them something much better. I mean, I guess it's like some forms of slavery. They weren't all bad. I mean, yeah, there was a lot of bad stuff, but there's things where they gave them education, they gave them access to things, resources, had food, they had shelter. You know, I've heard of people where they just basically, when the master passed away, they give them the property to the person, giving them deeds of freedom or whatever. I mean, it's not all this house, but yeah, I do hear some things. They become, even like the war, people become like when there were prisoners of war over, they become adopted into people's families. And you get some of these ex-Germans turning up, bringing their family back to England to say, this is where I worked on a farm and I was treated quite well by locals and stuff like that. Lovely, isn't it? Peace on off, have a great one, and speak to you soon. Bye.